Welcome back to the Rally Report podcast. Guys, I got someone I've hoped to have on for quite some time now, so I really appreciate him jumping on and giving me his time. German number one and five-time German national champion. Welcome, Raphael Kandra. What's going on?
Thank you for having me. How is it going today?
Good. It's getting pretty cold out here in New York, but I don't know where you currently based in between
I just
tournaments.
drove down to Prague, like as a
Yeah,
stop to go on the next PSA tournament. So it's pretty much the same temperature as in Germany at the moment, around 10 to 12 degrees Celsius. So
yeah,
nice
pretty
autumn
chill.
weather.
But yeah, just to jump right into it, I mean, I'd love to hear. No doubt it's like an ecstatic time for squash as a sport with the recent inclusion of the Olympics for 2028, and I'm sure it's double the excitement as a player yourself. But I just want to, get your general thoughts and emotions when that announcement happened.
So I was actually pretty surprised when the call came up and they said it's pretty sure that we make it to the Olympics in LA 2028. At that time, I was in Philadelphia for the US Open, and obviously a few other players had more ideas or more facts than I had. I mean, I've been on tour for quite some time, and we were, you backed a bit back then with Rami Ashur. We were trying so hard for so many years, and yeah, it never really happened. So I kind of gave it up for myself because, as I said, I'm not the youngest anymore. And yeah, so I think my whole kind of career structure changed now as I feel like I have to take the opportunity, I have to take the chance to give it a try. And so that means another 5 years from now on.
Wow, I'm kind of excited. I mean, the next question I had queued up for it was um, if you were planning to play the Olympics. I was a little confused. I thought every player was just jumping on for the media saying that they're going to play it, but wanted to really just dive into it and actually get how you were feeling. And in the scenario that squash wasn't in the Olympics, were you thinking of retiring by that time in 2028, or do you think you would have
Mm,
still played?
it's a long time to go, but
Yeah,
I mean, from the standings now, I would say if I make it to the Olympics, or let's say the Olympics happening, then I might retire right after because that's quite a while. I have to give it a go. I have to, I have to be mentally ready. I have to be physically ready, and the youngsters are knocking on the door, right? So I still have to give everything I have. And I mean, I'm happy to compete after 2028 if I still feel great, if I still be on top of my game. But from now on, I think that's probably the end of my career.
I see. And then you also just mentioned about some structural changes since this announcement. Could you kind of dive deeper into how structures are going to change due to this recent news
Um,
and how trajectory
yeah,
is looking?
so I pretty much meant the amount of time I will put in for squash was like kind of planned for the World Games 2025 in Chengdu, or maybe half a year longer or something like that. But around the time of two more years, that was my kind of structure schedule, like jumping on a normal job, like not a normal job, maybe on an army job or whatever. Like the opportunities I will get are still kind of open. But as I said, my wife and we kind of agreed with each other when I said like I should give it a try. That's something I was dreaming since I'm a kid, being in the Olympic Games as an athlete, and yeah, hopefully I can make it.
Yeah, no, that's it's really exciting. I think I was sharing the same sentiments about how doubtful I was when it was early announcements of perhaps making
Exactly.
it, and
Yeah.
out of nowhere, it's like, no, we made it. And it's just like, what's going on?
Yeah, exactly. But
But
even the guy said like 99% sure we make it. I said no, I'm
no,
not going with the 99%, not anymore.
yeah,
So
no,
yeah.
it's crazy to think it seemed like it was yesterday when the whole Rami Nicole David bid was happening. And I thought that was
Yeah,
going to push it over. But when that didn't happen, I thought there's no shot. And then this
true,
was kind
true.
of under the wraps, it seemed to the
I
general
totally
public.
agree.
And then,
Yeah.
so super exciting stuff. And I honestly super glad to hear that you are planning on competing in it. So I was curious to hear. I'm really curious to hear what all these other players are thinking as well on whether they're competing or not. But kind of just transitioning into this current season, I know that you kind of mentioned the youngsters. The PSA is giving a lot more coverage to them, but I think you've sneakily been had a good start to the season so far with the 12K tournament win, and also recently making it to the third round. I'm sure that was a good week for you with Olympics news, and also making the third round of the U.S. Open.
Yeah.
But yeah, just want to hear your early season thoughts and reflections so far.
So people who follow me for quite some time, they know that I was struggling last season. I was like more like a mental thing than physically. I don't know. It's just things didn't work together well. I mean, my life has changed since I have two kids now. It's not the same as it used to be when you when you wake up in the morning, you do your breakfast, go for training, have a little nap during the day, and then you go back. It's just like everything is, structured, and there's no time between. And even if you have some minutes to recover, the kids want to play with you, and so I think there was just a time last year where I didn't enjoy playing that much. On top of, yeah, being kind of occupied with my family a bit more, and just overall, I wasn't able to handle it well. So I dropped quite a bit on the rankings as well. And I said to myself, like, if I want to compete and if I want to play at my best, I need to give it a good go for the summer training. So the summer training this year. That was one of my main goals, and I, yeah, I succeeded. I did really well for the summer, and I can feel it now. I play so much better. I almost play like I used to play 2-3 years ago, and that was my goal for that season. So I'm kind of back as I was. Yeah, and enjoying playing. Have, as you said, some good results recently, and I hope I can back that up for the next ones.
I mean, always as a fellow left-handed player as well, I always root for any left-handed players out there for their
Yes,
successes.
lefties.
Lefty, not many of us on the not many. I mean, I'm not on the tour, but not
Actually,
many.
I feel like there are
So,
more coming now again.
yeah, no, it's a good time to be a lefty. But I just wanted to dive a bit deeper. Is there anything in specific that had changed in how you, from previous years of how you did your summer training versus this year's summer training that you upped the intensity? I'm sure with also age as a factor now too. I'm sure you
Yeah.
need to be more careful on how you schedule things out.
Yeah, I used to set that before, especially to the young upcoming players in Germany. It's about training smart, not too hard, Like I can see there's some, clubs or some groups, they just train too hard sometimes. It's not about having 3 sessions a day and just kick the body as hard as possible. It's sometimes also listen to the body, of course, go over the point, have like a proper physical session, but sometimes it's just like that super conversation, like that going up and down. You need like the right balance of everything. And for me, as I've been on tour for so many years now, I know exactly what my body needs. I know how I feel healthy and fit for the season. And the problem also last year was that I just constantly played tournaments back to back, and I didn't give my body time to rest and to get prepared for the next one. So I wasn't never really in a training situation. It was just about matches, and I kept going because the tournaments got postponed because of COVID, and so more tournaments came within one season. And yeah, I thought I could handle it, but I couldn't. And there was also the fact that mentally, and the end of the season when I was in Malaysia and Singapore, it was also physically as well. My body let me down. And
Traveling.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's also it's all it's the package of everything. And so I knew I had to have like a proper break and a proper summer training to get back on track. Yeah.
Do you have a training partner that you usually train in Germany? Is
I
there?
used to train and play a lot with Simon Rosner,
Yeah.
as I probably think you know. But he moved to Würzburg. It's a different place in Germany, so he's not that much available anymore. There's a young guy called Dennis Welte. He's quite keen and he wants to go pro and push up the rankings. So I take him on the route as much as I can. And then Nicky Müller is every now and then he's in Paderborn. His girlfriend is from Paderborn, it's where I live.
Mhm.
So this is good. So I just came from today from the training with Nicky. That also
I did see
helps.
that story, which was exciting.
Ah, exactly. You saw that, yeah,
Where,
Instagram, yeah. So this is pretty much my surrounding in the moment. But as I said, like, family, two kids, other things I have to deal with. So there's not that much time between the tournaments. But
yeah,
yeah, I'm happy to
I
stick with
guess,
these guys in court.
yeah, I guess, I mean, this is a good time for me to ask that. I'm very curious about, and I think some people have submitted questions about this, but I just wanted to hear more about squash in Germany. I don't think Germany's the loudest country for squash in terms of publicity and stuff. And it's interesting to see the likes of you or Simon Rosner have such a successful career. And I mean, I guess there's two parts of the question was like, what does the generic professional route look like? And do you feel like you get enough support from Germany? Slash, a more critical question is, why do you think Germany hasn't been able to replicate the same amount of success that you and Rosner had in this upcoming generation, I'd say?
Yeah. I think that's a really, really good question. And we were questioning ourselves, especially with my national coach. He's been traveling with me quite a lot now for the tournaments. And yeah, we were trying to figure out what we can do better, what squash in Germany needs, especially for the young players. As you said, that there's not really someone going up the rankings like Simon did, or I'm still trying to do. It needs that breakthrough from juniors under 19 going up to the adults. Um, you know, the world is changing. I mean, it sounds a bit wide, but since COVID, like a lot of families, parents look differently about sports, look differently in Germany about going professional. Like I think nowadays parents trying to tell their kids just to do something, go studying, do a good job, earn good money. You need it for life afterwards, and I think this is one of the criterias. And then we have juniors, of course, coming up, but they need like the professional surrounding. And I have the feeling there are not enough ex-professionals or ex-good players in Germany who stay with the sport. They go, do something else in life. And I think we might need their expertise and their knowledge in that sport, yeah, to transfer it to the next generation. I think this is actually what Simon Rosner is doing now, where he's based in Würzburg, where he's originally from. He moved back there and he's trying to build like a proper squash hub, like Prague does, like in England. What's it called, where James Wilson sort of goes as
The
playing?
Pontefract and
Thank you, Pontefract.
yeah.
I was just so there are some hubs in Europe, and yeah, I think we need like a good group of training partners in Germany as well. So it used to be Paderborn, where like a few players came more regularly with Dimitri Steinmann, Balázs Farkas. There were a lot of guys coming up the road to practice with us. But as I said, like Simon left, I'm a little bit more busy, and so the schedule changed. And I think the professional surrounding is one of the most important things to, yeah, in order to get like top players.
I mean, it is interesting to see both you and Rosner come out of the system very successful, and I've always been curious about that. And I think for another question I wanted to ask you, which also this was a lot of submissions on this question, Rafa, about your backhand serve from the right service box. I think this is probably the most questions I received. This was the first thing I was thinking of when having you on. For those of you who are not aware, it's probably a very risky move to do the backhand serve from the right hand box, and if it would be vice versa if you're a right-handed player. But given that Rob is a left-handed player, it would be the right hand box for him. But I'd love to hear the story behind it and why you've stuck with it. And I mean, not that you have been not successful with it, so I guess there's no reason not to. But
So I go the other way around now. As you asked me that question, you said that is a risky serve. So why is it risky for you? Tell me.
I think just not being able to see, for me, not being able to see where the ball exactly trajectory of the ball is going. I think there's more like visually, it looks a lot easier to know where the ball is going if you're facing the wall instead of facing
Yeah,
away from the wall. I
yeah.
think that would be my answer. I don't know how other people think it. Maybe I'm the only one who thinks it's risky, but
I think I know what you mean. Like this is what the most people would answer when I gave the question, give the question back. But I think as you have so much time, it's like a lob serve. Is I never hit it hard, like facing the
Hmm.
side wall and making a serve. I never hit it hard. I always try to hit like the perfect angle from the side wall to the other side wall back. And that's the reason why I turn around and go from the side wall, you know? If you
Hmm.
go from inside, you have a not the best angle for the ball to hit like the side wall and the back wall. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it.
So this is one of the main reasons I'm doing that. And on the other hand, I feel like just biological, like just biomechanic backhand swing is just a less risk swing as a forehand. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah, I
just
mean, more
more open
accuracy on the,
forehand.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
that's true.
forehand is just more open. And that's why I only do it most of the time on the backhand. So yeah, and on top of that, it's the right-hander's backhand I'm serving to, right?
Hmm.
So this is like where they like, how do I say this in English? But they can't really create that much power on the high backhand volley.
Hmm.
So this is like
Probably one
those.
of the most difficult shots to
Yeah, it
execute in
is pretty
squash.
much. It
Yeah,
is pretty much.
yeah.
And the most of the time, I think, I mean, I have that conversation with my coach all the time, but in my opinion, I still feel like I create so much, as you said, like, uh, not damage, but it's like they don't understand why I'm doing this. At the same time, while I hit the ball, they kind of confused. So this gives me like already like one advantage. And then what they're gonna do with like a high ball and backhand, they either drop it or they volley drive it back, and then I get
Hmm.
my opportunity on the tee if I'm quick enough. And as I'm known as the goalkeeper kind of thing, whatever. But I'm trying to volley as much as I can, right? So I'm always aware with the volley, and so I can already create like some damage after my serve.
I mean, I think it's a good thing to talk about because in squash the service at a certain level becomes very insignificant, and for you to be incorporating that, I think it's a talking point. I think it's great that you're incorporating that into it, and here we are talking about it right now. So, but I think something that you just mentioned right now that just popped in my head is your nickname is the goalkeeper, and it has to do with your reach and how you volley the ball, but also with the kicks you bring to the court, with how you style yourself. But is that an intentional way of how you style your stuff on court, or
I
is that
never heard
just
that before. That's very interesting.
yeah? I think it's
You're the first
colors.
person telling me that.
I think I heard it from commentators, but it's just their
Oh,
color scheme on how you dress is
oh,
more
nice. Okay, I
is
didn't know that. I thought like it was
that's
more
me.
about
Answers the
that
question.
I thought it was more about that, trying. I don't have a massive wingspan, but I'm just trying to make myself wide on the tee,
Yeah.
and I'm not trying not to get too many balls behind me. But I mean, of course, I watch my matches and I watch with the commentating with Joey and PJ and these guys. But I never actually heard that with that. I mean, I used to wear more flashy colors.
Yeah.
It's just the nature of the brand,
It's
Victor.
toned down. It's toned down. Well, I hope you got to bring it
I'm
back.
sorry, just getting older. Yeah, that's interesting. I do care about style. Yes.
Mhm.
I do not understand if some players that just come off the court and they have like dark blue and black shirts. This is like miserable. That's like one of the worst thing you can do. On the other hand, there are some guys, especially I have the feeling, especially Technifiber sponsored guys, they care a lot about their colors and their style,
Yeah.
which is good. I like that, but I'm super happy um, with my sponsor Victor. They have so many different styles and combinations I can wear, and yeah, I'm always happy to wear something new. And if I can, wear something which not other players are wearing, it's even better. But not particularly. I didn't know that is one of the reasons why they gave me that nickname. That's good to know now.
Glad I told you that. So I guess one thing I wanted to know was how you felt about the current state of the tour as someone who's been on the tour for quite some time. You've experiences between different eras, successes between different eras as well, and comes with that is the controversies as well. And right now, I think much of the talk is around the Saul ban, and I know he's recently played in an event that you've also played in the Grasshopper Cup, if I'm correct on that. But I just wanted to get your opinion on all this chatter that's happening on social media, and as a player who has a more inside scoop on it.
So overall, what I feel like, what I just experienced at the QSF4, the Qatar tournament 50K, just recently I played, it's a lot about that uh, blocking out your opponent after you hit your shot. So the whole criteria started with obviously Asal and one or two other players. And I'm pretty sure back then when Gautier and the other guys played on tour, it was already happening, but
Mm,
the referees or the whole scenery was not aware of that is such a bad thing or whatever. But the whole Asal story made it look worse, and they were trying to change something, and they always trying to bring up some new rules where the player should get punished for it. So what I experienced against Tariq was we had a really good match. It was probably the best match against Tariq I ever had because my head to head is yeah, quite bad. But as I played him on the court where he just got world champion in Qatar,
mm,
I did a really good job. And in the end, it was just like a long rally, and I was just going to the shot on my forehand. I was trying to go out as much as I can, but I just chose the wrong line. He was right behind me, and he kind of got shut out. And he was just looking to the ref. He said, "Yeah, you look, this is like blocking from his
mm,
shot, blah blah." And you made the whole thing out of it. And the referee, of course, like, yeah, yeah, stroke against
mm,
Kandra, blah blah, like it's just stroke to moment. And then I thought, like, why is this like so much pumped up now? Back in the days, that would be just a normal scenery, like where it's a lead situation, we both choose the wrong lines or whatever. But because of that whole thing, no, that shouldn't be allowed anymore. Like blocking the opponent out, we should get strokes against each other straight away. And I think this is like for me a bit too much at the moment, where they don't really see like the natural game anymore, where they just see like kind of cheating
mm.
situations, which is not happening. And that kind of
This is such a unique take. I don't think I've ever heard this from when I've asked other players. I guess it's a more of a critical take on you think it's being
and it's pretty
oversaturated.
new as well. It's pretty new.
You
I mean,
say,
I haven't experienced
yeah,
it that much. We always sneak some strokes or whatever. That
yeah,
sometimes happens. It's just like the natural
oh, I
game.
see.
But recently, I just feel like you have to be aware so much on how you move out of your own shot, how not to push back from the lunge too hard, because otherwise you affect the other player, and then it's like, oh, that was a bit too much. Oh, stroke against. Is that oops? Wow, this was no, not the purpose. And and from there on, the game just gets more, and more edgy because then
Mm.
you're not focusing that much on the game anymore. And I think this is something where they need to drop again.
Do you think that players are also getting better at manufacturing strokes out of this, with how refs are being more critical,
Uh,
making up situations where it looks more like strokes or just bumping into it?
I'm personally not sure, but I feel
Mm.
like there's definitely like a big chance of that. I mean, obviously, nowadays it's so easy to watch the matches on Squash TV and YouTube, and they know exactly what the top guys are doing. And I don't know if you have heard it before, but when the whole Assas thing came up back then, when it was very new, you were able to see on YouTube kids were looking up to Asal, and they were already playing like him. They were making fun of the physical aspect of the game. And
Mm.
there was a time where I thought like, oh wow, maybe this is going the wrong direction, and we need to be aware of the juniors, that they should know that this is not a good thing. This is actually a
Mhm.
bad thing. But this is our game nowadays. This is how our game changed, and referees and officials should find a way, and we as players, we should find a way as well. We're not made out of glass, so we have to find a way always. And yeah, this is what it is.
Yeah. I mean, speaking of change in the game, on a brighter note, as again someone who's seen both eras, how do you think, outside of the whole blocking nonsense and all, how do you think the game has evolved and changed over the past 10 years in terms of how you have adapted your game?
I always used to be like a kind of fast, short rally player. I mean, not necessarily short rallies, but I was always trying to do like, those little tricks and changing body and, little
Mm.
flicks. Um, but I feel like the game is actually going back to the kind of the classic game a little bit more, but still like on a higher pace or more physical pace. So I think especially Paul Cole, Justus Soliman, and these guys, they did bring in a new fact that actually the mental strong game uh, is like a big thing again.
Mhm.
Because if you like kind of facing a wall like Paul or Yusuf, and you look at them after long rally and they don't care about it, then like
Steps.
this is yeah, it's kind of crazy sometimes. But the mix of a very strong, physically strong player, being able and very critical rallies to switch from attacking to defense game. I think this is one of the most advanced things we have in the modern squash, in my opinion. That's my opinion.
I see. Yeah, that's a great take on it. Rafa, I'm gonna transition into the quick fire segment now. I don't know if you've seen this segment with other players, but it's gonna start off with building the perfect player. But you can
Oh
only
wow.
use active players on tour right now.
Okay.
And Rafa, there's no shame in choosing yourself for any of these questions. So best forehand in the game right now. Who do you think?
The best forehand in the game right now. I think it's Asal.
So is
Best
there a
forehand.
specific reason? Is just power
It's
that
just
you
like
generate?
I mean, the generate power he puts in, but also like the standing on the ball. I think he puts himself in such a dangerous situation just of the way he's facing the ball, and also his hold on the forehand, where he has such a wide swing that's it's not very natural. But on the other hand, he's allowed to take his space, right? So
Hmm.
whenever he takes his space and you kind of shut out because you played a bad shot beforehand, you don't know what's coming. You have to decide from one corner to the other, like, okay, I go for this corner, otherwise I'm not reaching the ball. Otherwise it's just coming too fast out from the front wall. Um, backhand, backhand, I have to take Shabini.
Yeah, that's
Shabini is, I don't know. I have the feeling that she can wake up in 3 a.m. in the morning and she still hits perfect drives. It's just like it's so natural for her. Like she's been so long on tour. She's been on tour since I don't know 13, 14 years old, and uh, just
I
didn't
was a
paint
little
much.
shocked that she's 27 right now. I feel like she's
Yeah,
been
yeah,
on the
yeah,
tour
yeah.
for
I'm
ages.
not
But
sure. Was she 13 or 14 when she got, or like was
I
she?
think of
I don't know
14
how
around
old.
40. Yeah,
Oh my God, that's ridiculous. I
unbelievable.
mean, but this is for a fact that's crazy.
How about best movement?
The best movement, I think, it's still. Oh well, it's a mixture of Tarek Momen and Ali Farag. And a little bit of Karim Abdel-Gawad. Taking those three together,
Yeah.
melting them together, and then you have your Terminator and speed and movement and quickness. And I don't know, it's just crazy. It's crazy how Gawad reads the game. It's crazy how stable and how fast Tarek is. And it's unbelievable how economically Ali Farag moves. That
Robert, I
makes
don't
this
know.
crazy.
Someone who also plays squash and loves squash and talks a lot of peers about squash. A lot of people also have mentioned your name as one of the best movers. That will bring you by
Wow.
surprise. It's
Okay.
just, yeah,
Interesting.
just I think the way you
That's
move and
that's
just
great to
to
hear.
give you some kudos
Yeah,
here for it. Yeah.
yeah, but if you compare, as I said, like if I did compare to top 10 players, I mean, I'm recently not in the top 10, and that's for a reason. But as I said, Tarek has been on tour for so long. Uh,
35. And he's
yeah,
still
yeah,
moving like
and that's the thing. If you look at Miguel Rodriguez, I mean, don't get me wrong, he's a great mover, but I think he has a different talent of moving. For me, it's not the most efficient way, but it's
Mhm.
still crazy well he does it, like
Yeah.
how he covers the court with his size as well. And with his age now, it's just insane. I mean, I'm happy to
Yeah.
move like him when I'm 37, you know?
How about
So
lastly, best mental game? Who's got best mental game?
Ali Farag, just, I don't need to think about it.
Yeah.
Even if he's
Well,
mentally not on the right track and he has some issues or whatever, he still finds a way. And even if he has a slow start, he still finds a way. I don't know. It seems like he lets his opponent play sometimes, but for a fact, he knows exactly. He needs that little situations at some rallies where he looks at the opponent's eyes and knows exactly, okay, oh, this is something you didn't like, or this is something I can get you. And then he just continually doing the most damage on his opponent. And that kind of absorbs the energy. And it's just, that's the thing. Like Ali Farag is the perfect example that someone gets better towards the end. How longer the match goes, how that better he gets.
Well,
That's insane.
these are some in-depth analysis on the normal viewer we don't get for how scary these players are. But it's great to hear. I was curious, do you like it when Farag opens the door for you? He does that for all his opponents before games, and I've noticed that certain players won't leave. Something quirky I've noticed.
I do the same thing to my opponents, but if I'm in court with Ali Farag, I would say so far 100% of the times I lost my matches, so I probably stepped out while he was opening the door. So I can't remember the situation when I did it for him. But no, I mean with Ali, I have such a respectful, situation as he's like, I mean, it's always hard to say good friends or whatever, but we've been on tour for so long. We've been playing the same team in Paderborn. He's always been there. Whenever we see each other, we're like super nice to each other. As I said, we respect each other, and he's a very nice guy. He's no fake, I would say, and I think that's a big thing already. That's why I'm happy to get out of the court when he opens the door.
Well, there you have it, guys. That's the perfect player. But moving on to the quickfire segment. Rafa, favorite ref on tour?
Favorite ref? I actually like Roy Ginger.
You think he's the best?
Yeah, he's good. He's good.
Yeah,
I think he keeps his level, and even if there's a difficult situation, he knows how to deal with it. That's what I like.
Yeah, he handles it very well. He's very firm. Best dressed player on tour?
Man or woman?
Anyone.
Man, best dressed player. Wow. I actually think Gregor Marsh, as I mentioned before, he chooses some really good color combinations. I like that. And for a woman, I would say Jasmine Hutton nowadays. I think she has Jasmine Hutton or Rowan El Arabi. She always has some nice dresses.
Is she also sponsored by?
She used to be in the Victor team, but now she's with a different brand, just bought from an English guy. She used to be with Victor. She used to be very happy with the rackets, but for some reason, I don't know, it didn't work anymore. Unfortunately.
Yeah. How about on the flip side, worst dressed players on tour?
I know he hates me for that, but it used to be Simon for sure. Simon used to be one of those guys. I mean, he doesn't care. Like, fair enough, he doesn't care, but he puts on his socks and he overlaps his socks, and the other sock is just high up there, and like, it doesn't matter. Whatever his is like in the carpet, he puts it out, and he's like, oh well, I dressed that today. I don't care. And then sometimes with this headband, kind of looked a bit, a bit odd, but I mean. He's fine with it when I'm saying that it was him.
How about any players you would like to see in the commentators booth? Any players that you find funny, a good sense of humor?
I think Patrick Rooney can be a very funny guy. I think he has a good sense of humor, and I think he would be good for squash. Yeah, definitely. He would be good. Who else? I always have good chats with Holly. We're making a lot of jokes, Holly Norton, and I think she's been on the commentator box already.
Mm-hmm.
Who else? It's always hard for the mother tongue and the English. If somebody is like really funny, we talk to him, but his English is not like that great to be like a commentator. That's something. Some people have advantage, some others don't. So, but I think those two, they will fit well together. Yeah.
How about best organized tournament of the calendar year and the worst tournament? Organized tournament.
Organized. I haven't been to the Qatar Classics this year. As you mentioned before, I played the 12K in Paderborn, which was my home club. So I played a smaller tournament instead of the Platinum. But Qatar Classics used to be always the best organized tournament. I
Mm.
mean, for a fact, we arrived. It doesn't matter if we're like top 8 or unseeded for that tournament. Once you arrive in Qatar, someone is waiting there with a sign telling your name, takes you out with a BMW 7 or with the Genesis cars with like, perfect leather
Yeah.
massage seats in the back. And they drive you straight to the Four Seasons Kempinski, one of the best hotels in Doha. You have single rooms there.
Don't have to
You
do it.
don't even have like a schedule for driving. There's like you go down, tell the guy you want to go to the club, and then there's a car waiting for you, it takes you to the club.
Oh, wow.
So this is like a different level, the stats
Yeah.
are quite high there.
Wow. I
So
did not know that.
yeah,
How about a
yeah.
tournament that needs work on?
I used to play 5Ks, Australia, everywhere in the world, and I mean, of course, you can't compare 5Ks to other tournaments, but a tournament I just recently, last 3 years, 3 or 4 years, I played, they need work on is maybe, I feel like some of the European individual tournaments.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
they could be more professional. Some of them are not as professional as they should be. I mean, if we're playing for a European national title, sure, European title, individual title, and sometimes I feel like it's more like an amateur event. So this is something they could work on. But overall, the other PSA tournaments, they have quite a decent level nowadays.
And another question is coaching post career. Is that something here?
Maybe
So
it's not
maybe.
my number one goal, but
Hmm.
as we had the conversation about LA
Yeah.
2028, whole things might change, and if my country needs me for a fact of a whatever, like an assistant coach or like a junior performance coach or whatever, then I would be up for it. And if the whole package is a good package, then why not? Yeah,
Yeah. And most underrated player on tour.
most underrated player. I still feel like that Ali Hussein from Egypt.
Wow. Yeah.
I
I
still have a
like.
feeling that he is a very, very dangerous and very promising player, but nobody really puts attention that much on his game yet. So if
Went to high
we,
school with him. So
oh,
this is
you did.
yeah. Went to high school
Oh,
with
wow.
him.
So what do you think about him?
I think he's probably the fittest player I've ever met, and no one talks about how fit he is and the training he does.
Oh, you
Because
see,
with
there's
his
one fact
build,
already.
with his build, you can't tell how he doesn't look he doesn't look like a Paul Cole with how
Yeah, yeah.
muscular, but he is unbelievably fit, and it scares me. But yeah, I mean, I'm always a fan of him, but I don't want to sound biased when I mention his name every time on the podcast or anything. So I don't keep it under the law. But I'm very
Okay.
happy that you picked him because,
Interesting. I didn't know
yeah,
that. I didn't know that,
yeah,
but I just feel like there are some players like they constantly look at them and they're like, yeah, this is the new, the new Aramishu, new Alifar, whatever. But I have the feeling nobody really looks on his direction, and yeah, we'll see what we get within the
yeah,
next 1 or 2 years. If we have in 2 years a podcast again, we might talk about him as a top 20 player. We don't know
yeah.
yet.
Never know. Yeah, that's going to be great.
So
But how about? I
let-
don't know if you can answer this, but most overrated player on tour.
overrated. Just for a fact, I feel like there are not many players they get aware with easy points or easy draws, like this
Mm-hmm.
is not happening anymore. Um, that's why I can't really answer that question because all the players who are in the whatever top 30, who they deserve to be top 30. Whoever's in top
Yeah,
50, they deserve to be top 50, and this is just like
I
for a
see.
fact.
How
Yeah.
about if I switch it? About one player you dislike playing against? Maybe some style differences.
Because it's hard for me to beat him, or
Yeah,
yeah.
hard for any reason. It's just you got this personal
Ah,
drawing out. Don't
this
know.
is like very deep now. No, I'm fine with it. I'm fine with it. I have my tactics for the next time. But the last two times I played this guy is Yusuf Suleiman. I looked terrible on court. I looked terrible. And yeah, as I said, I have my tactics for my next game. So Yusuf, watch out. But that was one of the worst feeling because he just outplayed me, and I couldn't really find a way to get past him. And yeah, within 33 or 35 minutes, I lost in three. So that's probably one of
So,
those
well,
players.
the bounce back is coming.
Yeah,
It's coming
exactly.
soon.
You said it. You said it.
Um, but yeah, I think, Rafa, I'm going to wrap it up there. I really enjoyed this conversation. Thanks
Great.
again for jumping on.
You're welcome. It was good
Yeah,
fun. Thank you. Thanks for having me.